Hello and welcome to part 2 of the MO2 tutorial series. In this video, I'll be covering how to download and install a mod, how to check for updates, and how to properly apply those updates, alongside how to edit mod INI files. In regards to Bethesda games, MO2 is able to install any mod that would be installed within your game's data folder. There is a plugin that provides root folder installation methods, but that will be discussed in the advanced tutorial. MO2 offers basic support for a few other games, but a majority of MO2's features are Bethesda oriented. Now that MO2 is properly configured to our liking, we can go and start downloading mods. So there's a few tabs here on the right side. What we're going to want to do to see our downloads is go to the Downloads tab. I haven't downloaded anything yet, so there won't be anything in here. For the tutorial, we're going to be downloading this mod here. Your buddy is dead, dynamic dead detection. Now this mod looks really cool. Makes it so the enemies are much more receptive to their teammates maybe passing away. So we're going to be installing this to our MO2 instance. Now, whenever you're downloading a mod, I highly recommend you read through the description to make sure you know what you're getting into. And you also, very importantly, need to check this Requirements tab. Click on this to open it up, and you'll see other mods that this mod requires for it to function. So if I did not download this JIP-LN NVSE plugin or this Johnny Guitar NVSE plugin, this mod would not work. So let's start by downloading these two mods. I'm just going to open these two in new tabs and we can check them out. Again, make sure you read through the documentation for your mods so you know actually what you're downloading. But since I already know what we have here, and I know we don't need any other requirements apart from something else that doesn't work with MO2. This does vary by game, so I'm not going to cover how to do this specifically. However, you can install mods like this within MO2, and I'll talk about that in the advanced video. So go on over to the Files tab, and we're going to be downloading this mod. So within the Files tab, you'll notice there is a bunch of stuff on the screen here, and we're going to start with the version numbers. As you can see, this says it's version 56.81, and this mod has all of its old files available. So if I did want to download an old version of this mod, I could check the version numbers and download whichever version I would like to use. Now there's also a little bit more information here. You can see the last time that I downloaded it. You can see the date that it was uploaded, the file size, the amount of unique people that have downloaded it, and the total number of downloads this mod has. Now, whenever you download a mod, you're always going to want to click Mod Manager Download. This does important things such as sending the mod directly to your mod manager, and it also includes all of the meta information. To briefly explain, one of the benefits to having meta information for your mods is that you can easily update your mods as long as you have the meta information on your download. We'll showcase that specifically later on, but for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to do a manual download for this mod just so we can showcase another way to get meta information. So let's go ahead and proceed with a manual download. Again, this is just for tutorial purposes. For every mod, you always want to click Mod Manager Download, but for this just one test mod, we're going to click Manual Download. Now, I have a premium account, so my screen might look a little different from yours. If you have a free account, just click Slow Download. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. And just click the Download button if you are a premium account. You will notice that it will list the mod requirements on this page as well, so it's just triple making sure you don't miss any mods that you might need. So if I click download, you'll see it'll show up in my browser here, and we're just going to click to open the file in our archive manager of choice. And what you're going to do to properly install this mod manually is let's go up one step so we can see the archive itself. Actually, I'll just show it to you from this perspective. This will probably be easier to see visually. So as you can see, I've got the JIP-LN 7-zip file. It could be a RAR file or anything else. And what you're going to do is just click on this one to select it, and then drag it right over to your Downloads tab. And as you can see, it showed up right over here. It says Downloaded, and there is a red triangle here. It says Information Missing. Please select Query Info from the context menu to retrieve. Now, if we right-click it and Query Info, it will get rid of that little exclamation point, and we got some meta information. And once again, we'll show why meta information is valuable in a second, but as you can see, we now have the meta information for this mod. So this is the proper way to manually install mods. Okay, so now that our mod is downloaded here and it has the meta information, we can double click on it to install it. and there is a quick install window that'll pop up. There's 3 options within here. There's manual, OK, and cancel. So if you click OK, it'll just install the mod with its default setup. I like to, every single time, click manual, just so I can see exactly what I'm installing every single time. And within here, I can see that it's going to install a folder under the data folder titled NVSC and another folder called textures. Now, if you've manually installed mods in the past, you know that most of the time you're going to be installing mods directly to data. And this is exactly what MO2 is doing. That manual install, but virtually. So it's not going to be actually within your game's data folder. It will be virtually loading these mods into your game. So since I'm cool with everything this mod's installing and it's in the correct format, as you can see, it says it looks valid, we can just click OK. All right, as you can see, there's a bit of information that shows up here. We've got our mods title, GIPLN and VSE. We've got our version number over here, and priority is 0. We'll talk about that later on. To enable the mod, all you need to do is check this box right here, and now the mod is installed. All right, so here's the other mod we need to download. All we're going to do here is scroll down, and I'm going to download an older version of this mod just so we can show you how the meta information works. And if we just click on any random older version, we can mod manager download it and just click download or slow download, whatever you see, and it will show up. It should give you this download started option, and it will show up over here in MO2. As you can see, it says it is the old version and it is version 4.8. It's downloaded, etc. So we're just going to double click on this to install it. And once again, I'm just going to click manual install, and I can see it's installing an NVSE folder. I'm just going to click OK. Now, as you can see, if I make this a little bit bigger, well, make that bigger. As you can see, the version number is going to glow red now because it is outdated. It's going to give me this little star saying that this is not the newest version. It's been marked as old, and it's likely that there's an updated version. So this is one of the benefits to installing mods with the meta information. Now that we have our 2 required prerequisite mods, we can download the original mod. So let's head back here and download the main file. Again, we're just going to do a mod manager download on the newest version, and it'll show up over here, manual. It'll show me it's installing a config and an ESP. So some mods will have these ESPs, and these are called plugins. We'll talk about this a little bit more later on, but just know that not every mod will have these, and some mods will. Okay, so this is our final mod that we needed for our little setup to work. And as you can see, we still have that red. Now, if you have a big mod list and a bunch of mods are updated and you haven't updated in a while, what you can do to quickly filter out and highlight all of these old outdated mods is you can right click an empty space within MO2 and click on check for updates. As you can see, it's going to highlight this Johnny Guitar mod because we installed an older version. So what you can do to update the mod is click on it, right click, visit on Nexus. This will reopen the Nexus page. If you did not have the meta information, it wouldn't know where the Nexus page was. That's another advantage to actually getting the information. And what we're going to do this time is actually download the proper version. So mod manager download on the newest version. And as you can see, here's our mod, Johnny Guitar. Now, as long as you title the mod the same, which we're not going to change it, it's Johnny Guitar NVSE here, and it's Johnny Guitar NVSE here. If we try to install this by clicking OK, it's going to give us a new box, and it says, hey, this mod already exists. What would you like to do? And there's a few options: merging, replacing, or renaming it. If we installed this mod merging it, it will overwrite anything that has the exact same name with the new files. So let's say we're updating a mod that has maybe a couple other text files, or it has some PNGs in there that they accidentally left in. If we were to merge it and they took the PNGs or whatever else out of the new file, those files will still remain from the old file if we click merge, because it's only going to replace what exists in both files. Hopefully I explained that well. If we click replace, we're just completely deleting this and replacing it with the new version. Now, whenever you update a mod, this is the recommended way to update the mod, is to replace it, because you want to get rid of whatever was there before and replace it with only new stuff, not leaving anything left over like merge might have. And finally, renaming it. You only really want to select this option if you have a variation of the mod. So I'll find an example that I can show you where that would be relevant. Like I said, in this case, since we're just updating a mod, we're going to click replace. Okay, now as you can see, Johnny Guitar is in green here. It says it's not outdated anymore, and all of our mods are good. So you may be wondering where all those downloads went, and since we enabled this toggle earlier under General, hide downloads after installation, all of our downloads are going to be hidden. Now they're still on your hard drive, they're still taking up space. So maybe once you've installed all of your mods, you might want to clear some space. All you need to do is click on this hidden files toggle down here, and you'll see all of the mods that are within your downloads folder. If you want to clear out this space, you can by right clicking and delete all downloads, and that will remove them from your disk. You don't need to do this, and honestly, it makes it easier to reinstall mods if you still have these archives, so you can easily reinstall them for whatever reason. But if you do need space desperately, or you want to clear out specific mods, you can do that by toggling this hidden files and deleting whatever's here. Certain mods may offer additional optional selections or patches for the mod itself. So if I go to this mod Bleedless, as you can see, it's offering two different versions. I'm playing TTW, so I'm going to use this version. So let's just go and download the main file. It does say it needs all this stuff, but I already know what I need, and we're just going to figure that out later on. And as you can see, it also has some optional files down here. Better damage multipliers. There's a patch for this mod called Ragdolls, and there's another one for New Vegas version only. So since I do want to use this Ragdolls mod, and I do want these better damage multipliers, which increases damage multipliers for faster and more immersive combat, as the author says, we're going to download both of these optional files. So just go ahead and download them. And when they're both done, they'll show up over here. So this is the main mod, and since we have this set up the way we do, we can actually see which category they were filed under. So we have the main, and then we have both optionals for the mod. So let's go ahead and start with the main mod, and we're just going to leave this as Bleedless, and it's just going to install an ESP. And then for better damage multipliers, what I like to do to keep things nice and organized, as you can see, since it came from the same mod page, it's going to be named the same as Bleedless. Now, it's best practice to keep your patches and optionals separate. So if you do want to change these later on, you don't have to reinstall the entire mod. So to do that, we can do it two ways. We can just click OK, and it's going to tell you the same prompt we had earlier. And in this instance, we're actually going to want to install this as a separate mod with a new name. So we're going to click rename here. And what I like to do with optional mods is I just keep the original name, and then I put the name of the optional selection. So Bleedless better damage multipliers. That way, if I want to just get rid of the damage multipliers later on, I could easily do it just by removing this mod and not have to reinstall the entire mod. So we're going to do that again just with this. So I'm going to call this Bleedless Ragdolls patch. Just like that. So that makes the most sense to me. And this is a mod with two optionals now installed. And as you can see, it is going to give me a red triangle here. And if we click on this up here, it'll tell you, hey, you're missing masters. And this means if I launch my game right now, I would crash because, well, if we click on this, it'll tell us which masters are missing. And it says we need a lot of these. And the reason this is coming up is because I don't have all the requirements. I don't actually have TTW installed just yet, or any of the other mods this requires, so it's gonna throw me an error. Like I said, if I launch the game right now, it would crash at the main menu, and well, you don't want that. You can also see which masters are missing just by hovering over this. As you can see, it says Anchorage, Broken Steel, Fallout 3, Point Lookout, Tale 2 Wastelands, The Pit, Yup, TTW, Zeta. All of these are missing. But we also have some of the masters it needs, like Dead Money, Fallout New Vegas, Gun, etc. So that's a good little tutorial on how these work. And if you ever do see this red triangle, you need to figure out what's wrong. And in most cases, you're just going to be missing a mod that the author requires you to have. The final topic we're going to cover in this video is going to be how to edit INI files that come with mods. Now, don't worry about the visuals looking a little different here for what we have in the MO2 setup. This is recorded quite a little bit in the future, so things might look a little differently, but it's not going to change the tutorial at all. So one of the mods that we're going to be configuring today is this NVTF New Vegas Tick Fix mod. Now, NVTF comes packaged with an INI file. If I double click on the mod, we can head to the INI files tab. And as you can see, there is an INI file found in this mod. And if we click on this, it's going to pull up a bunch of text here. Now, you can edit these files in this view right here in the MO2 File Explorer, but we are going to open this in Explorer. I do feel it's a lot easier to just read in Notepad. So if you click Open in Explorer, it'll open right up to the mod. And if I double click on this nvtf.ini, since I have Notepad++, it's going to open in Notepad++, which I recommend you do install. Otherwise, it will just open in Notepad, which I do think is still an improvement over MO2's view. Now, within this mod, what you're going to see is just a bunch of toggles that I can set. These are just a bunch of zeros and ones. And if I were to change any of these zeros to a one, it would enable it. So for example, the BGTC fix setting, and it describes the setting right here. It says it fixes the 64 Hertz microstutter issue. It's set to 1, which means it's turned on. However, this B modified DirectX behavior is turned to 0. And it says to switch this for the DirectX section below. So basically, if we turn this to 1, it would control everything down below here. Now, most mods that include INI files are going to have a nice written description similar to how New Vegas TickFix has here, where it's telling you what each of these toggles do. So if you were to change one of these values, like let's say, for example, I wanted to enable the DirectX section below. If I were to change this 0 to a 1 here and save it, it is now going to be enabled in the file. It's as simple as that. Any changes you want to make to any INI files within mods, you could save it just like this. However, there is one recommendation I'm going to insist that you make here. So I just saved this file within the main mod itself, New Vegas TickFix. What's going to happen if I were to update this mod is this INI change that I've made is going to be overwritten by the new update. And that would happen whether I clicked merge or replace. So we're going to need to find a solution for that. And it's really simple. All we're going to do is copy this INI file into its own mod. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit Control-C to copy this. And we're going to create our own mod down here. So right click in empty space and just click create empty mod. And I'm just going to call this nvtf INI file. Or you could call it config. I usually call them configs. So we're just going to save it just like that. And if we click OK, our new mod's going to show up. Now, if you're wondering what a mod is in terms of MO2, is it just adds a folder to the mods folder in MO2. If I control double click on this, it's going to open up that folder. And as you can see, it's just MO2 mods, and this is our new folder right here. Now, if I were to just paste the file, the INI file that we copied into this folder, it's not going to work. And that is because we have not followed the folder structure that this INI file needs to be in. So to find that, all we need to do is compare it with the New Vegas TickFix mod. So just double click on it to open it up. Click on the file tree tab so we can see the file tree. So this INI file needs to be inside of a plugins folder that is inside of an NVSE folder. So let's go ahead and just create those. So let's create NVSE, and finally let's create plugins. And now we can just copy, or cut rather, this into the folder. Now that this is set up properly, if we head back into MO2 and enable this mod, you'll notice that we now have a green lightning bolt. And if we click on it, it'll have a green highlight over the New Vegas TickFix mod. This is telling us that it is overwriting one of the files in that mod. That means we did it correctly when setting up our file paths. We're going to talk about conflicts in the next video, but that just about wraps up the end of episode 2. If you did enjoy this series, please, like I said in the first video, check out Wall and Vish's links in the description. They were a massive help to this project, and I couldn't have finished it without them, so please give them some support and love if you don't mind me asking. Video 3 is going to be linked on the screen now, where you're going to learn about conflict management and load orders. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.